All right, hello everyone. Welcome everyone to our 9th Zoom technology class. I hope you're all doing great. I know we did not have a class last Sunday, and a few of you came to our session on Wednesday, which was great. This is obviously lesson 9 out of 10, so we're almost coming to an end. But we are having some special classes and events I'm going to mention later today. Let's get started because we do have a lot to get through today. First of all, if you would like to contribute something, you have a question, something you want to add, please feel free to raise your hand virtually on a computer by clicking on participants and then raise hand, or on a tablet or mobile device by clicking on more and then raise hand. And we'll see you have your little virtual hand and we'll be able to answer your questions. Also, if you have not done so already, and you would like to receive updates about our classes, please make sure you are either in our WhatsApp group, which I'm assuming many of you are in, or you are on our email list, which I'm assuming almost everyone here is at least in one of those. But if you are not, make sure to reach out to me today so that you receive updates from myself and our team. And then finally, we released a virtual portal a few weeks ago, and I want to make sure that you're aware of it. The link is on the screen right now. I'll put it in the chat as well. Portal. All right, there we go. The link is now in the chat. If you click on that, which you should not do now because then you'll be taken to some other place. But if you do it later on, and we'll also email you with the link, you could take our computer basics class on our new virtual portal, which allows you to take a class self-guided without us being there on Zoom with you. It's a pretty cool experience. You should definitely give it a try. We did put a lot of effort into putting it together, and there are many seniors who already took our computer basics class. So if you want to take advantage of that feature, please feel free to go to that link. We will email it to you as well and put it in the WhatsApp chat so you have that as well. And I would say that even in between the end of this semester and the start of the next semester, which probably won't be until February, you have a month or two which you could use and take advantage of that portal if you want to stay involved and continue taking our classes. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I'll also put into the chat, someone wanted the link to our YouTube channel, which has all the recordings of all our classes. I'm putting that into the chat right now. And we also send out after every class a link to the recording, so you have that as well. But someone asked for the link that is now in the chat, so you have that. So you have that below. Okay, so for those of you who were here last week, we learned our whole lesson was revolved around online banking and how to use programs such as Venmo and Apple Wallet. Today's lesson will teach you how to manage your computer in the most efficient way possible. So today's lesson is pretty much computer based, but if you do have a smartphone and a tablet, some of these things will overlap, and you could also just sit and listen and take advantage of the opportunity. But this lesson will be almost completely computer based. We will be going back and forth between talking about Apple computers and PC computers, because I know some of you have one or the other, and we want to make sure that that everything we teach is applicable to all of you. Okay, so the way this lesson is going to work is we're about to outline 10 tips. We kind of assemble them into 10 tips that are very quick things, just like we did with managing a smartphone, but things that we think will allow you to use your computer, just like it says, in the most efficient way possible. So tip number 1, which I can go to the next slide, it says keep it clean. And I'm going to pass it over to Julia to explain how to use this. And Joe, you can go to your computer screen share, your desktop, so we can see it. Julia, go ahead.
Hi guys, so on every computer, you're going to have that trash icon, which is where you're able to throw out old files, pictures, anything that you're no longer using. And that will help keep your desktop and all of your computer very clean so that you don't have a lot of extra things that you're no longer using. So I'm going to show you how to throw out something on your computer. So it's pretty simple. You're able to just drag whatever you want to throw out into that little trash icon that Jordan circled for you. So on the bottom right corner of your computer, you should see that trash icon. And in order to throw something out, all you're gonna have to do is select whatever it is on your desktop. So here you can see that Joe selected this screenshot that he took, and then he's now gonna drag that picture into his trash. and that will then throw out the picture. So if he releases that picture, it's now moved into the trash, and Joe is actually able to open his trash and see all of the different things that he has inside of there. So he can scroll through, and you can see these are all things that Joe has thrown out. You can also see that on the top right corner is the word empty. If you click on that empty button, that will clear all of the things in your trash. So right now, all of these things in his trash, you can take them out. Right now, they're inside the trash, but if you needed to, if you accidentally put it in, you're able to drag it back out of the trash onto your desktop and restore it in case you deleted it by accident. But if you press that empty button, you're completely clearing your trash. So everything that you've ever put in there, you'll no longer be able to retrieve. So you might want to use this empty button if your trash becomes really full and you need storage on your computer and you don't want to waste storage with these things in your trash. But you might want to keep in mind that once you empty this trash, anything that's inside of it, you'll no longer be able to retrieve. So if Joe clicks on empty trash, it'll give him a warning. And once he presses empty the trash, everything that's inside of the trash will become permanently deleted. And when Joe clicks on the trash, once it finishes deleting, you'll see that it's empty because everything that was inside is now cleared.
Great. So you can see that it's taking a few seconds for Joe's trash to delete, and the reason why is because there were a few things. I think it just said there were 4,000 things or something like that, but it actually just finished. You could see that now if we look at the trash, there's nothing in there. But when you drag something in there, the animation, it becomes like a few pieces of paper in there to show you that there are things in there, but right now it is now empty. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. The same thing is applicable to a PC computer, except on a PC, the trash is called the recycle bin. It's not called the trash; it's called the recycle bin, but it's obviously the same concept. You drag something in, you could empty it, you could retrieve things from it. Your computer will not delete things automatically from it. You need to manually click on empty in order to actually take it through and completely delete it permanently. Okay. All right, so someone asked, what am I talking about in the corner? So here, I circled it over here. This is the trash icon. It's all the way at the bottom right. And that is what you would drag. That is what you would click on in order to manage your trash. Sometimes, I know on Zoom it's a little tricky, but sometimes you might have to move our faces. Our faces might be covering pieces of the screen. And sometimes we might be referring to those parts of the screen, so you might have to move around our faces in order to see it, but you should see my arrow. I drew a big blue arrow pointing towards the bottom right. Okay, let's go to tip number 2, which is quitting your apps. And you might remember that we did show this to you when we showed you how to manage your smartphone. How on old phones you double click on the home button and you could swipe up on all your apps and get rid of them, because even though you think even though your phone's black or you're on the home screen, there are still programs that are running in the background and could possibly be draining your battery. The same thing applies on the computer. Now it is a little bit different, especially if you're on a desktop, because a desktop computer is always plugged in. So even if you have apps open, your battery's not being drained because it's being powered by a power source, not by the battery. But still, for speed and efficiency, it's always smart to quit your apps occasionally. And Caroline's now going to show you how to do that on an Apple and a PC computer.
Okay, so how you know if your apps are open in the first place is if Joe presses on Google Chrome, which he already has open, you should see a little dot below Google Chrome and again below Zoom, because he's using both Zoom and Google Chrome right now. So that little black dot below it is again how you see if any of your apps are open. Again, Finder, which is all the way on the left side, will always be opened and you cannot quit it, so don't get confused by that. Okay, so how to quit an app? There are a few ways. The first way is if you're using and you're comfortable with a keyboard, you could press Command Q and that'll quit the app. So if Joe presses on Google Chrome or on Mail, an app he wants to quit right now, he can then press Command Q and that'll quit the app. Command Q. Okay, then a different way to quit an app is, Joe, why don't you press on like Mail so you could quit that? Oh, here. Okay. So now Joe has App Store open. And if he presses on the Apple button in the top left side of the screen, on the very top, he can click on that and press force quit. Once he presses force quit, if you click on that, it should quit the app. I'm not so sure why it's not. Jordan.
You want to just maybe minimize the App Store? Could be behind it.
I can't. It's the rainbow wheel. Just give it a minute.
Okay. So Joe's computer has a rainbow wheel right now. Okay. But that should work. So either you could press the Apple button and press force quit, or you could press Command Q, and that should quit your apps.
Okay. Joe, are you able to get back to the screen? Okay. Can you just click on the Apple and force quit? There we go. Okay. So this is what you see when you click on force quit. Here, Caroline, you want to?
Okay. So once you're on force quit, you can choose which apps you want to force quit. So obviously Joe is not going to force quit Zoom because then that'll log him out of the meeting. But if he were to, he would so click on Google Chrome. So you just move your mouse to whichever application you want to quit, and then you press force quit, which is on the bottom in the blue. And once again, if it doesn't let you quit Finder, that's completely normal, and Finder is not something you can quit.
Yeah, so I'll just mention that Finder is basically your entire computer. All your files, your desktop, everything's based on Finder. So if Apple allowed you to quit your Finder, you would basically be destroying your computer because Finder is the basis, it's the power, it's the CPU of the computer. So Finder, you'll always have that open. You won't be able to quit it. Actually, if Joe highlights Finder, you'll see it actually will say relaunch, which is some other term, but it won't say force quit, meaning that you actually can't get rid of it. But the other apps you definitely can on an Apple computer by clicking on Command Q on your keyboard at the same time, the Command button and the Q button. The Command button is to the left of the space bar. It's to the left of the space bar. Or if you're on a PC computer, you're going to see the Control button. So it'll be Control Q for a PC computer and Command Q for an Apple computer. Or you could always just go to the Apple at the top left, click on force quit, and click on the apps that you want to get rid of. I recommend doing this, if not every day, but maybe every week or occasionally. It will definitely clear up your computer, and it will allow you to move things much faster. Lisa, I see you have a question. You should have to unmute yourself in the center of the screen.
I guess a few steps before I even lost my question. I didn't understand about the Command Q. That's for Apple?
Yeah,
I have an Apple.
Command Q is for Apple and Control Q is for a PC.
A PC, okay. For now,
and
that's
for those of you who don't know what I'm saying when I say PC, that's a Windows computer, a Dell, or a Lenovo, any computer that's not really Apple is under the category of PC.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I see someone else has a question. Just unmute yourself in the center of the screen.
Hi, I don't have the force quit on my iPad. I have only an Apple tablet.
So everything that we're showing today is applicable to a computer.
Oh.
An iPad isn't a computer. An iPad actually follows the same format as an iPhone. So for quitting apps on an iPad, you double click on the circle button if you have a circle button. And you should see all your apps that you basically swipe up on each individual app, but I don't want to get into that because that's for this mobile phone. We're going to focus on the computer today.
Does it delete the app completely?
No, it won't delete the app. It will just completely close it out so that the next time you open it, it's like a fresh start.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, tip number 3. Let's go to the next slide, which is the Notes app. Now the Notes app is basically just like what it sounds. It's a place on your computer to keep important information and notes and reminders and things that I don't know, that you want to keep on the computer. It's a little less formal than using like Microsoft Word or Pages. Those are more for formal documents. This is more for abbreviations and very quick things that you want to remember later. For example, in school, I know many of us keep like our homework on the Notes app so that we could see it and check it off, whatever. That obviously isn't that official, so it doesn't have to go on a professional Microsoft Word document, but the Notes app is very, very casual, and it allows you to just keep track of things on your computer. This is the Notes app is built for an Apple computer. You might even see this icon on an iPad and an iPhone. It has the same icon. For those of you who do use a PC, the program is called Sticky Notes, just like how you would have a Post-it note on a table or something like that. The program isn't called Notes; it's called Sticky Notes. And you could, and it's pretty much the same thing, which you have little notes and you could add reminders. And Joe, you could open up your screen and we're going to show you now how to access it, where you could access it, and also how to use it. Caroline, go ahead.
Okay, so how to access the Notes app is it'll look like a little notebook, which Joe is holding his mouse on, which has a white bottom with a yellow little top. It looks like a little notebook. So what you want to do is you want to click on that app, and that should bring you to this. So Joe has a few notes he already has made. So if Joe wants to create a new note, what he's going to do is the same way as creating a new message. You're going to click on the button that's a square with the little pen going across it. So again, if he's holding his mouse, you should see it says create a new note right below it. And if you click on that button, it should say new note. So what you can do once you're here is you can give your note a title, a heading. So let's say Mittler Senior Tech. And then if he goes below it, he can write anything he wants. And then if you're trying to find your note later, it should say Mittler Senior Tech. And you know that that's the note you're looking for. Then let's say you want to add this note to a folder. So what you would do is you go all the way to the bottom. It should be on the left bottom with a little plus sign. So if you click on that, it should add your note to a folder, and you can name that folder and your note will be in that folder. Okay. And you can move Mittler Senior Tech to that folder by dragging it. And again, if you want to move a different note to that folder, again, you just drag it. So that's how you create a folder. Okay, and then next, how to lock a note is, let's say Joe goes back to the tech folder. So let's say this is a very private note that he doesn't want anyone seeing. He clicks on this little lock, which is right here. He's circling it with it. Yeah, Jordan just circled it. And he clicks on that little arrow below, and it should say lock note. So once you click on that lock note, it should either give you a password or your fingerprint, either one. And you can enter the password, which if you've never locked a note before, it'll give you a chance to create a new password. But clearly Joe has locked a note before, so he has a password. And if you press OK, that should lock the note. I guess Joe put in the wrong password.
Yeah, that's fine. That's not.
Okay, well, Joe forgot his password, but that's how to lock a note, and that should lock a note. Then the last thing
Go ahead.
You can do with notes is you could share a note. So again, how you share a message or you share anything else, you click on this little square box with the arrow going up, and you click on it. And you can either share your note through mail, AirDrop, messages, and which is probably all you'll want to use. And if you click on messages, then Joe should be able to send the message to Jordan. So again, if he types in Jordan Mittler, then he can send this note to Jordan, and Jordan should receive that note.
Great, just got it. So the Notes app is very useful. I saw a few of you were looking at your phones and iPads, which is fine because the Notes app is also accessible on those devices, but it is a little bit different. And I don't really want to get into the mobile aspect today, at least, because we're going to focus on the computers. But using the Notes app could be as basic as just typing in information, or you can go to the next level and start locking important notes that you think are, maybe contain confidential information. Some people like to keep their list of passwords in the Notes app and secure that, lock it with a passcode. And obviously you could also share. Share notes with friends and anyone that you want to share a note with. Okay, let's go to tip number 4, which I'm going to explain now. Is called stacks. And Joe, I'll have you share your screen because I saw that you have a bunch of things on your computer. But basically, I know that there are some of you who use a computer. Joe, can you just unstack it so we could go back and forth? But basically, I know there's some of you who have a very messy desktop. If you look at Joe's screen right now, this is not something that you want to look at every time you open up your computer. It will be very, very challenging to find files. There are things on top of files, on top of videos, on top of pictures, on top of folders. This looks very, very, very confusing. And to go through this every time you want to find something is a little challenging. And actually, Apple created something very, very efficient, which will organize all of your files and photos and folders for you. And that's a program called Stacks. And the way that you could access Stacks is by right-clicking anywhere on the desktop. Right-clicking means you click on the right side of your mouse or your trackpad anywhere on the desktop until you see this little drop-down menu. And towards the center, I think it's the 5th option. It says Use Stacks. And if Joe clicks on that, what's about to happen is all the documents and files are going to assemble themselves on the right side of the screen, making it a lot more organized and pleasing to look at. You could see how Apple just completely reorganized all the files, and that's much nicer to look to go through and to look at than that kind of messy desktop of all these files. And actually, the way that Apple did it is you can see on the right, they organize it into categories. One's folder is called documents, one's called images, one's called PDF documents, one's called music. And if Joe clicks on one of these, it will actually open up all the things in that folder. You can see how it just extended all the PDF documents once he clicked on PDF documents. And then you could access them as normal. And you can click on it again to condense it back into that one little icon. This is just more of an efficient way, and it's much easier to keep track of your things this way. I definitely recommend using and creating folders, which you could do on your computer by just, again, right-clicking anywhere on the computer, which you could do. So we could see that. If you right-click anywhere on your computer, the first option says New Folder. This is the same thing for a PC computer. And if you click on New Folder, you will be able to add things to the folder and make it more organized yourself. If you want to use the Stacks program, then it will just sort it for you. And you don't really have to create folders because it will put all the documents together and the images together, and it will do all that for you. This is really up to preference if you want to use this program. I definitely like it because it makes the desktop much easier to access files and much more pleasing to actually look at. Lisa, I see you have a question. You have to unmute yourself in the center of the screen.
I have an Apple laptop. So when you say, I don't know, click on the right side, how do I do that? I use my fingers, not the mouse. So when you say click the right side, how do I do that?
So are you using a desktop or a laptop computer?
A laptop.
So on a laptop, you have what's called a trackpad, which is
yes,
this place right below the keyboard.
Yes.
The way that you right click on a trackpad is there are two ways. You could either just click on the right side of the trackpad, meaning take your little finger and put it all the way to the right side of the trackpad and click there. Or on some Apple computers, they require clicking with 2 fingers on the trackpad. So you could either click with 2 fingers on the trackpad, or you can click on the right side of the trackpad. Try both, because on some of them, only one of them works. And definitely one of them will get you to this place, either by clicking with 2 fingers or with 1 finger on the right side of the trackpad.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. Now the next thing we're going to look at is changing your desktop background, which is very similar to looking at your wallpaper on your phone, like your home screen picture. If you want a picture of your family or some sort of art that you want to keep on the home screen, instead of the typical Apple background of like mountains or whatever it is, you could very easily adjust that and change it. We did show you 2 weeks ago how to do that on the smartphone, and we're now going to show you how to do it on your computer. So Joe, you can go to your home screen, and Julia, you can now explain how to get to it, how to add it, etc.
Okay, so on your home screen, you should see that settings, same type of gear that you would see on your phone, and it's called System Preferences on your computer. So if you click on that, you're going to get the option to change your background on your computer. So you're going to click on that gray System Preferences icon on your desktop.
It's loading. 1 second.
Joe, do you want me to share? Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. So once you click on that, you'll see that this will open. And the second thing there is desktop and screensaver. So that's how you're going to change the background picture of your computer. So if you click on that button, it will give you an option to change the picture in the background. So you could see on Joe's computer right now, he has a picture of 2 football players, but you could change the picture to anything that you want by clicking on this button. So I think it's loading on Joe's computer.
Joe, you want me to screen share?
Okay, so Jordan's going to click on this desktop and screensaver. And here you could see that there's a bunch of different pictures that are pre-made by Apple that Jordan can choose from. So right now, Jordan actually has one of those pictures as his background. And you could choose from all of these sort of like aesthetic pictures that Apple gives you that you can make your background. So you can just scroll through them and click on any one of those pictures. You can also make your background a picture of your family or a picture from your own camera roll by clicking on this plus button on the bottom left corner. So if you click on that plus, it will give you a place to search through all your pictures and files. And then Jordan could then choose from these pictures and make one of them his background. So if you didn't want to have a picture pre-made by Apple, you want something more personalized, you can choose from any of these files and you can make that your new background picture. So you could see that this is not one that comes with the Apple computer, but Jordan has this picture saved in his files, and when you click on that, it will become your new computer background.
Great. Let me get back to this one. Okay. So just by clicking on the little gear at the bottom of the screen, that gray gear, it says System Preferences. I'm highlighting it with my mouse over here. On a PC computer, it's the same application. I think it might be called Settings, or but you're always looking for that same type of program. If you click on it, you're looking for Desktop and Screensaver, which is towards the top, and then you could select the picture that you want, either from Apple's selections or by adding your own picture by clicking on the plus. On a PC computer, if you right-click anywhere on the desktop, the same way we showed you, on the mouse by clicking on the right side of the screen, or on a trackpad by clicking with 2 fingers, you'll see an option that says Display Settings or Wallpaper. And by clicking on that, you'll get the same options where you could choose from the PC's default programs, or you could use a picture of your family or one that you would like to use of your family, etc. Okay, Joe, we can go back to the presentation. Let's see what's next. If there are any questions, feel free to raise your hand virtually. Okay. All right, so operating the Finder, which I'm going to do, we mentioned Finder earlier, and this is basically, the icon looks like that. It looks like a little kind of smiley face with, half blue and half white. And you should see that all the way at the bottom left of your computer screen. That is where everything on your computer is stored. All the files, all the pictures, all the information, it's all stored in the Finder. On the PC computer, it's not called the Finder, but it's still in the same place. It's on a PC computer, it's called Libraries. It looks like little folders, like little yellow folders, and that's where everything's stored on your computer. Now, like we said, you can quit Finder when you're quitting your apps, because Finder always has to be kept open, or else you basically lose all your computer information. So Joe, do you want me to share, or do you want to share the Finder? You want me to share? Okay, so you can just stop sharing there you go. Okay, so you'll see that the Finder for me is all the way at the bottom left. There's my little smiley face with the half blue and half white. And if I click on that, you'll see I'm getting all the different documents that I have on my computer, whether it's documents, pictures, videos, anything like that. You'll see there are folders on the left side of the screen, like the information on my desktop, anything I've downloaded to my computer, a lot of different options for things that you could look at. And depending on how organized you are, it might be easy to find things, or it might be difficult. For example, if you name everything, like for example, if every time I taught a technology class, I named the document tech class, and I teach 50 technology classes, it'll be pretty hard to find the one that I'm looking for. But if you name things kind of precise names, and you've organize them in folders, it will be pretty easy. So for example, if I go to, you can see how I actually organize my computer pretty nicely. I have all these folders going back, from years ago, and I can click on, here's Mittler Senior Tech. I can go through different folders and documents that I'm looking for. But everything's in here. And until you delete something, nothing's going anywhere. Until you delete something, everything will be here. You also have a search bar, which is a little magnifying glass at the top right of the screen. And if you click on that, you could search for something. If you're not sure exactly where it is, you could even type in a date if you're not sure where to actually find something. So if I type in, let's say, I don't know, October 5th of last year, that will be October 5. Here are, I'm not even sure what these things are, but these are things that I apparently did or worked on October 5th, videos, documents, things like that. Things that have the term October 5th in it. I'll also mention that when we looked at the internet a few weeks ago together, I mentioned that you should put quotes around complete phrases. So for example, for October 5th, if I put quotes around, October 5th, it will only show me documents and files that have the words October and 5 together, and not just documents that have October and documents that have the number 5 in it. But if you put quotes around it, it will group them together so that the only thing that you're seeing are documents that have both of those words together. The same thing applies to here. Here's a better example. If I type in Mittler Senior Tech, it will not only show documents that have the 3 of them together, but it will also show just Mittler, just Senior, and just Tech. It will break it down word by word. But if I put quotes around it, my search results will become much more concise, and I'll find exactly what I'm looking for by finding only files and documents that have the 3 words being used together. So I definitely recommend using quotes when you're looking for documents with complete phrases that have multiple components. Some people aren't as organized and don't have these folders and just have documents kind of flying all around. If you are in that position, number one, I recommend that you spend a day or two and clean up your computer. But if not, you could always use the Finder or the libraries on Windows and use that magnifying glass to search and find documents that you might be looking for, because until you put it into the trash, it actually isn't going anywhere, and it will stay there. Okay. So Joe, you can go to your presentation. The next thing, which is tip number 7, we're going up to 10, by the way, if you're keeping track, is AirDrop. Now this is pretty fascinating. Something that is, to me, very interesting. Now, AirDrop allows you to basically send pictures and files from your devices to another device without sending a message or sending an email or doing anything official like that. The only downside with this is that both devices have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network. So you can't, for example, if I'm in one place, send a picture using AirDrop to someone 3 blocks away from me. That would have to be done using messages. This only applies to devices that are in the same room, in the same Wi-Fi connection. And this is helpful if you want to send, let's say, a long video, which typically won't go through over messages because it does have a maximum number of minutes or gigabytes of how long you could send a video, but AirDrop doesn't have that. Obviously, it will take longer if you want to send multiple photos or a longer video, but it will eventually go through. But once again, it does have to be in the same room connected to the same Wi-Fi. So Joe is now going to show you, he's now going to send a picture from his phone to his computer, which are obviously both in the same They're both in the same room, right? Obviously, Joe has his phone, his computer with him, and he's now going to send a picture, not sure, whichever one it is, from his phone and AirDrop it onto his computer. And then I see there are a few questions. We'll take those after Joe explains.
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is click on the camera, and that's that same camera button. And then if you go to the bottom left, you can, and you click on that picture on the bottom left, you should be able to see your camera roll. Okay, and now I'm going, for some reason it doesn't show this on the, okay. It doesn't show it on the Zoom. So I'm just gonna AirDrop it and then share it to my, and then share my computer screen. Okay. The AirDrop. Sending. Okay. So I just sent an AirDrop to my computer, and then I think it goes to downloads. Or, oh, here, AirDrop. There's Jordan. Do you know where this goes?
Did you just send a picture?
Yeah.
I didn't see which picture did you send?
I just sent a picture. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, it should be in downloads.
First image in downloads. And then if you double click on that, you should be able to see, it should come up, and that should be the same picture that you just saw on your phone. Jordan, you're muted. Still muted.
Sorry. Joe, you want to stop screen sharing for a second? Let me just see if I could show it on the computer. Okay. Okay. So you're all looking at my screen right now. If I open up, let's say a document, I'm not going to show you how to do it from your computer. Let's say I open a document or a picture. Here we go. All right, here's a picture that I have, right? Here's a picture. And let's say that I want to AirDrop this to my phone, which is right next to me. They're both connected to the same Wi-Fi. They both fall under that category. The first step, which is on any device, is to always click on the share button. That's this button over here. It's always a little box with an arrow pointing up. This is the same button to share a picture, to share a video, to share anything on any device. And you'll see that besides from the typical mail and messages options, you are going to see that AirDrop button, which is the third one down. And if you click on that, it will show you a list of all the devices connected to that Wi-Fi network that are connected to the same Wi-Fi. So you can see that it just came up. I didn't do anything. It says Jordan Midler iPhone, which is my phone right here connected to the same Wi-Fi. And if I click on my name, if I just click on my name, it will say sending and we'll go to sent. And now I didn't do anything, but if you look at my phone right now, here I can actually spotlight it so you could see it. You're now, this is the picture that was just on my computer, and I didn't click on anything. I just held my phone up. It came up magically because I AirDropped it. Now that was just a picture, but if you do a bigger file or a bigger video, it's much cooler. It is very fascinating because you're not doing any sending. So it's just you click on the AirDrop button, click on the device, and it just magically appears on the other phone. Someone was asking in the chat, this cannot be done from Android phone to Apple phone. This has to be done from the same branch of phones. Now you have to be at the same household under the same Wi-Fi for this to work. It has to be on the same Wi-Fi. If you're on the cellular service or your Verizon or LTE or whatever that is, it won't work. You have to be under the same Wi-Fi. This is just I would say a quicker way to send pictures. You could even send multiple pictures at the same time by selecting all of them and then doing the same thing by clicking on the share button, clicking on AirDrop, and sending it to the group of people or to the person that you want. But if their name doesn't come up in the list of AirDrops, that either means that they're not connected to the same Wi-Fi, or they aren't close enough to you, or their phone maybe is in a different place. I'm not sure what it is, but you're always looking for the name that you want in the list of contacts. You saw that when I did the demo, my name came up with the word iPhone because it was talking about my phone, which is sitting right next to me, connected to the same Wi-Fi network. This is just a very cool thing I wanted to make sure you were aware of on your computer and on your smartphone. Yes, Robert Lookstein, go ahead. You should unmute yourself.
During the course of this whole COVID thing, I've made a number of videos for people, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, teachers, whatever it is. And I've tried to send the videos from my phone, which is how I videoed myself, to one of these people. And a notice came up saying, "This is too large, try AirDrop." And I clicked on AirDrop and it went through. Now, these people were not on my Wi-Fi and they were not near me. And yet they got the videos. In some cases, in Israel, they got the video. How does that work?
Okay, so I actually think you're talking about something else, which is called AirShare. I think that could be what you're mentioning because, and I'll explain what that is. If you're trying to send a file or a video that goes above the limit that the iPhone can handle, it will basically allow you to do something called like iCloud sharing, which will basically send the video in like a link format. It basically uploads it to the internet because anything can be sent over the internet, right? I always send to you guys recordings of these classes, which are an hour, right? And that's pretty long. And the way I do it is by uploading it to the internet so that I can send that to you just by this end of a link. And that's something that Apple does when it reaches the limit, where it basically just converts it into like an iCloud link, which is the same thing. It will be sent and the people outside the household will access it. AirDrop is a way for, in the household. AirDrop only works in the same Wi-Fi. It doesn't have to be the same household if your Wi-Fi reaches a bigger distance, but it does have to be in the same Wi-Fi for it to go quickly like that. The method that you're referring to is you're still sending the message using messages, but it's using something called AirShare, which you're sending it using a web link. It's a little bit different.
So you think I was actually clicking on messages and not on AirDrop?
So yeah, that's what I think you did, and then I think it gave you kind of the pop-up saying send this using AirShare, but that was all through messages, I believe.
Okay.
Also,
I had another question for Joe.
Sure.
On his screensaver, he has a beautiful picture of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, both of whom are injured now. I want to know why he doesn't change the picture to I don't know. What's the name of Cole? Cole. What's the name of the quarterback today?
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy. And who's the runner? I forget his name.
Wayne. I think it's Wayne Gallman.
Wayne Gallman. I mean, if you're going to be in this kind of a thing, you should be up to date and not ancient history. That's just a side comment.
Thank you for that, Joe. You can take that into consideration.
He probably doesn't have their pictures. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think there's a picture of them.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself so I won't talk.
Thank you for that. I also just want to mention that I know some of you, just like Rabbi Lookstein, are doing a lot of videos nowadays because that's what people are doing. If you're interested in sharing those videos on like a program like YouTube or Vimeo, which I know many of you have heard of, you can definitely reach out to me because that's obviously what I'm doing for our classes. Every week I send out an hour-long video, and we now have uploaded to a service 10, 15, 20, 30 videos from our semesters of long videos, which messages wouldn't be able to handle. So if you are in that category, you could definitely reach out to me and I could show you how to set that up so that you could share groups of videos with audiences and however you want to share whoever you want to share them with. But that's for another time. So Joe, let's go back to your screen. Yes, Lisa, as we're doing this, you could unmute.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Tip number 8 is split screen. And basically with this, you have the ability to look at two things at the same time, which is just like multitasking. And there's a slight difference on how you do this on an Apple on a PC. But Joe, you can go to your screen and we're going to show you. I'm going to show everyone now how to work on two things at the same time. I know I've been using this a lot because if I'm in like a Zoom class, during the day and I want to watch a show on Netflix at the same time, I could have both of those open at the same time. So I can multitask and do both of them. And that's what Joe's gonna show. You could share your screen. We're gonna show you how to look at two things, work on two consecutive things at the same time. Caroline, go ahead.
Okay, so Joe, why don't you open up 2 tabs? So to do split screen, you need to have 2 tabs open up at all times in order to do this. So if Joe also opens up, I guess just do Google Chrome or anything you want. Okay, so now that Joe has 2 like applications opened up on his computer, he's going to hold down on, and right now it's annoying, he can't see both of them. So what he's going to do is he's going to hold down on the green button on one of the applications.
I also just want to mention that what Caroline's showing right now is for Apple. We're going to show you PC after. This what she's showing you right now is just for Apple computers.
And if he holds down on it and drags it to the left side and a blue little like box came up, it should if you do that again, Joe, show them the blue little box that it went into. See, it like went blue a little bit. So that's when you know that it's ready to split screen. So if he then drags the Google Chrome into that little box on the left side, then a blue box will go around the notes. And that's how you know that if you then click on the notes, now you can work on either one. And if you want more of the Google Chrome slide to show and less of the notes slide, then you can use this adjust bar to adjust the settings of how much is showing for both applications. Okay.
Yeah, great. So you can see that this is very helpful. It starts by holding down on the green button in the traffic light, right? You have red. This is for Apple computers. You have red, you have yellow, and you have green. Hold down on the green one and drag it to the left or to the right. It will snap in place. And then from there, you can click on the other application. You obviously have to have 2 applications open. So you have to have 2 open first. You can't do it this the first time and then try and open the second one. Make sure you have the two things you want to work on open, and then hold down on the green button on either of them and then split it half and half. For those of you who are on a PC computer, this actually is a little simpler. And all you have to do, number 1 is the same step. You have to have 2 applications open. And the next step is to basically drag either application, whichever one you want on either side, drag it either way, all the way to the left or all the way to the right. And it will actually snap, it will snap halfway through, allowing you to have kind of a split screen concept. Windows doesn't have this built-in screen split, app. But on a PC computer, just by opening 2 apps and dragging either of them all the way to the left or all the way to the right, it will snap it halfway through, allowing you to have 2 things kind of evenly distributed across the screen. And this is very helpful when you want to multitask. All right, so Joe, I'll just screen share for this because we are running out of time. Now, the next thing I just want to mention is there are a few things that you could do regarding keyboard settings. Now, I'm not going to mention all the things I want to because I don't think everything's too important. But if you go to settings, the same place we changed our desktop background, and you go to keyboard, which is towards the center in the bottom, it's over here. The keyboard's over there. And if you click on keyboard, there are a few important things. I'm going to skip over some of this. The first thing I'll show you is text, which is the second option here. This is basically if you want to replace certain words with longer things. So for example, OMW in the 21st century stands for on my way. And instead of having to type in on my way every time, you could set your computer so that every time you type in the letters OMW, it switches to on my way, allowing you to type more quickly. For example, Mittler Senior Tech is MST. So if I click on the little plus, which is at the bottom left to add one, and I type in replace, I'm going to type in the shorter one, MST, with, and I type in the with is Mittler Senior Tech. Now, if I open up, let's say I open up a notes tab, here's a blank notes tab, and I type in MST. You see how it automatically auto-corrected the MST to Mittler Senior Tech, which is pretty helpful, especially if it's a word that you're using a lot. You know, if I type in my initials, JHM, I could have it switch to Jordan Harry Mittler. Oops. So think phrases that you use a lot that you think will be helpful, you could always, you know, have something like that, or even something cooler if you want to have, like, for example, if I type in replace greeting with hello, how are you doing today? Right? And then you could have that as your greeting. So if I go to notes, or if I'm sending an email and I type in greeting, it will then give me the kind of the phrase that I'm looking for, allowing you to kind of type quicker and find things faster. This is once again by going to system preferences, clicking on the little keyboard icon, clicking on text, and adding kind of these shortcuts that you could use in order to have things kind of replace things and make your keyboard experience quicker. The last thing I'll mention is languages. If you want to have more than just the English language on your computer, you see how I have two, US and Hebrew, but let's say I want to add a Spanish keyboard. You do the same thing. You click on the little plus at the bottom left of the screen, and then you'll see it will give you a list of all these different languages and things that you can click on. Look at all this stuff. Let me just go to Spanish for the it's even giving me more Spanish options: Latin American, Spanish, ISO. Let me just go to the typical Spanish. And if you click on add, you'll see how it will now add it to my list of keyboard languages. And the way you switch between them on your home screen is all the way at the top. This is for an Apple computer. I'll do the PC next, but all the way at the top of the computer, you'll see there's a little American flag. And if I click on the American flag, it will give me not only US, but it will also give me Hebrew and Spanish. And you could switch between them and just click on the one that you want to use. And then from now on, every time you type using the keyboard, it will now give me Hebrew letters instead of English letters. And if I go to Spanish, it's now giving me Spanish letters, which Spanish is pretty similar to English, so it looks the same, but you can switch easily between the ones by just clicking on the appropriate flag or icon at the top. On a PC computer, you want to go to the same program. You want to go to settings or system preferences. And in settings, you're looking for the same thing. It's keyboard. Here, I'll pull up a picture. PC settings that you can see it, because I'm obviously on an Apple computer right now, so I can't really show you. Let me see if this is a good picture. PC keyboard settings. Right, here we go. So here's language. When you go to settings on your PC computer, you'll always see a search bar. Even on an Apple computer, you always see a search bar, and you could just type in like language or keyboard settings into the search bar, and you'll see that in this case, language came up, and you could switch. Right now it says English, but you could actually change. You could change it, or you could switch between multiple. Let me see if I could find. It's a little hard for me to get. Oh, here's keyboard settings. I'm not finding one that exactly has the language, but if you scroll down a little bit more on keyboard, you should find it. What I would do for those of you who are on a PC computer and want to take advantage of this, I would open up settings and I would type into the search bar either keyboard or language and scroll down until you find like language change or language options, and you should find the appropriate kind of command for this. It's hard for me to do it because I'm not looking at a PC screen, so it's hard for me to direct you exactly. But what I would do, go to settings, type into the search bar keyboard or language, and you should find it that way. Okay, Joe, you could show your screen for the last thing we're going to look at, which Julia will go quickly because we are running out of time. Is taking a screenshot. Joe, you can just go to the desktop. A screenshot is to take a picture of something on your screen, which we did show you on the phone, but now we're going to show you on the computer. Julia, go ahead.
Okay, so there are two different ways to take a screenshot on an Apple computer. The first one is you're going to hold down the Command, the Shift, and the 4 button all at the same time. And that will pop up. You could see this little mouse that is on Joe's screen. And if Joe drags his mouse, he's going to be selecting a box on his computer, and whatever is in that box will then appear in the picture that he's making. So right now, Joe is taking a picture of this little red box over here, and this picture will now save onto Joe's desktop. And you can see that Joe can now click on this picture if he wants and view this screenshot that he just took. So you would hold down the Command, the Shift, and the 4 button, and then you're going to drag a box, and whatever is inside that box will then be in your picture. The other option is to hold down Command, Shift, and 3. By holding down those 3 buttons, you're going to take a picture of your entire desktop. So it's not going to prompt you to make a little box. Instead, it's just going to take a picture of your whole desktop. So if Joe holds down Command, Shift, and 3, his entire desktop will have a picture. It won't just be a small little portion that Joe highlights, it will be the entire desktop. And that will also appear on Joe's desktop, so he can view that picture the same way just by clicking on it on the desktop. And you can see both of those different options on your desktop. So you can see that Joe took the picture, and everything that is on Joe's desktop right now appeared in this picture. And it includes his desktop, his Zoom, and so that you would take by holding down Command, Shift, and 3. It's also a little different for a Windows computer. So Joe, if you go back to the slideshow, we have a couple of screenshots of how you would take a screenshot on a PC computer. So you would click on that same settings that you had for that you used to change your language, and you're going to want to search in that type here to search. You're going to want to search snipping tool, and when you search that, you should see a little pop-up appear, and you'll be able to press new. And then you can select the same way that we did on an Apple computer. You're going to select a box, and whatever is inside of that box will now be saved as a new screenshot. So you're going to want to go into settings, search snipping tool, and then you're going to want to press new to create a new screenshot on a PC computer.
Great. Okay. Go back for 1 second. Because we are almost out of time, we're not going to do breakout rooms today, even though I wanted to do that. But I am going to make just a few announcements before we wrap up for today. I ask that everyone stays for this because I would like you to hear about this information. Joe, you can go back to the presentation. Now, the breakout room assignment, you all have in the WhatsApp chat, and you all should now know how to do everything on that list. So if you want to, outside of the class, practice what we did in class, you could still do the breakout room assignment outside of class, but we're not going to really do it today because we are almost out of time. Okay, now something really, really special that I want to state for you guys is we're doing a very special class this Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The class is called How to Impress Your Grandchildren. Now, this is a class that I definitely recommend that you do not miss. This is going to be a very special class. It's going to be very interesting. If you would like to participate in this is going to be Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The class is How to Impress Your Grandchildren. It's the same link and meeting ID as our typical Sunday class. This is a very kind of special end of semester type of before the winter break class that we're offering, and I recommend that you come. It's Wednesday night at 5 p.m. We're more than happy to have other seniors participate. So if you have friends or people you think can benefit from this class, feel free to let them know about it. I recommend sharing it. It's going to be a great class and one that I don't think that you should miss. It will be very exciting. Okay, let's go to the next slide. You can actually skip over these breakout room slides because we're not going to do that. Okay, a few things that you could do this week to review besides from doing the breakout room assignment. Empty your computer recycle bin, quit your apps occasionally, use split screen, take a screenshot on your computer, use AirDrop, just a few of the things that we spoke about. Feel free to play around with these and kind of get used to them because obviously, like I always say, practice and continuing to practice these things will put you into the habit of knowing how to do them naturally. And that's something that you obviously need to work on. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, a few things. Number one, this class was recorded. We will be sending out later today a link to the recording of the class. that you could access, and as well as all our other recordings will be on the same YouTube link. We'll be sending out a link to the recording. You could rewatch if you missed a piece of the class or want to rewatch it. If you want to review something that we taught, do that. You can definitely do that. On Monday night, we're having our typical Q&A session. If you have questions on either today's class or Sunday or anything tech related, feel free to join that. So once again, if we're looking at scheduling for the rest of the semester, today's Sunday, we just had lesson 9. Tomorrow's our Q&A session at 7 p.m. Wednesday is the How to Impress Your Grandchildren class at 5 p.m. Then Sunday, which will be a week from today, will be our 10th and final class of the semester. Also one I don't think you should miss. That's going to be very, very exciting, especially if you have not taken a class with me before. It's always great. If you have taken a class with me before, don't tell everyone what all the surprises are. I recommend coming to that class a week from today. So once again, to recap, tomorrow is our Q&A session. Questions on either today's class or anything tech related at 7 p.m. On Wednesday, our special edition, How to Impress Your Grandchildren class is at 5 p.m. And then a week from today, next Sunday, Sunday, December 27th is our 10th and final class. Please come to that class at 11:30 a.m. We'll be having a very exciting kind of review, and I'll say goodbye to all of you, and we'll talk about ongoing events and things that will happen going into the 2021 year. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be sending you out messages and information later on. I hope you have a great week, and I'll hopefully see you on Monday for our Q&A, Wednesday for our special edition class, and next Sunday for our 10th and final class. Have a great week, everyone, and I hope to see you all again soon.